As far as backrooms levels go, the pool rooms is one of my favorites. In fact, I'd even put it in my top 3 favorite backrooms levels. But today, we'll be talking about some of the sublevels found in the pool rooms that I think are cool and, of course, unnerving. Starting with level 37.91, also known as the cooler pool rooms, this sublevel has a class 0 survival difficulty and is safe, stable, and devoid of harmful entities. It's a very cool, very aesthetically pleasing version of the pool rooms and is described to be a perfect level, as it contains all the necessary qualities for it to be considered as such, though these are not listed, but I assume most people can guess what qualities would make a backrooms level to be considered perfect. This level has an appearance like the original pool rooms, except there are no stairs or extremely deep pools. The tiles here have been reported to be similar in appearance to the tiles in the regular pool rooms, however they're noted to be in an irregular pattern. This level can also contain pillars in the middle of hallways or rooms that are described to look out of place, which, I mean, yeah, you're in the back rooms. I'd be worried if something looked normal here. There are also paths that can lead to areas where a wanderer could fall, and these have been recorded to be both short and long drops. It's honestly a toss-up as to what you'll come across. Additionally, electronics that require electricity or another form of energy not originating from this sublevel have been reported to not work, excluding cameras and radio devices, of course. You need to be able to document and communicate, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Wanderers have also reported furniture here as decoration, including stuff like fake plants, couches, and plates. These items can't be moved or otherwise interacted with, as they seem to be fused with whatever surface they're on, whether that's a floor or a table. Sometimes a wanderer can even phase through these objects, not in the way you would know clip, but like in movies and TV shows where a character passes their hand right through someone else as if they were a ghost. These decorations are usually found in an area of the level known as the windowed rooms, which I'll get into in a bit. Instead of wandering through an area with long stretches of symmetrical pools with varying water depths, you can encounter a bunch of smaller, shallow pools containing light blue water that is lukewarm in temperature. These pools are described to feel safer and more realistic, with an irregular shape that is more reminiscent of pools found in reality. This level will also have paths completely devoid of water, allowing for a wanderer to walk on dry ground. The temperature of the level varies depending on the area that you're in, mainly due to the amount of water that's in the immediate vicinity. Areas with lots of water will be warmer, while areas with less water will be colder. It's not known why this happens, but I assume it has something to do with the actual temperature of the water and any humidity that may be in the sublevel, since the pool water here is described to be lukewarm. The recorded temperature range for the sublevel ranges anywhere from 25 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, or around 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and can even vary based on the wanderer who is present in the level. A wanderer won't initially notice when they come across the cooler pool rooms, as the transition from one level to the next appears to be seamless, unlike the usual jarring experience of no clipping. However, you won't be able to go back, as when you turn around to go back the way you came, you'll immediately notice that a wall will be right behind you, forcing you to continue further into the sublevel. In fact, a couple of the narrative pieces that are in this sublevel page say that when you turn around, you probably end up like smacking right into the wall, which is very funny. Once a wanderer has entered level 37.91 completely, the anomalous effects of the level will begin to take effect, one of which is a similar sound anomaly that is present in level 37. Level 37's anomalous sound properties involve a sound dampening effect, where a wanderer's footsteps and spoken phrases will sound muffled or otherwise quieter, as if they were underwater. However, in this sublevel, sound has been noted to echo and reverberate throughout the rooms, even in the rarer rooms that don't contain water. These enhanced sounds of the level only strengthen the calming effect that the level has on a wanderer, as they generate an ambience that has been described as containing a similarly, if not calmer, and more relaxing vibe than the pool rooms, especially after touching or getting into the water. Speaking of the water, wanderers have noticed that the water sounds like the audio of the water that was recorded in level 37, and it will perfectly cut and loop in the same way infinitely. The water here in the pools has also been recorded to not be regular chlorinated pool water. Instead, it's almond water with a Sakura breeze flavor. It smells like cherries, and it's even safe to drink. Despite having this quality, the pool water will remain a light blue with a lukewarm temperature. It also shares similar qualities to the pool water in the regular level 37, like the presence of Epsom salt and other unknown compounds. However, the sound and the water aren't the only enhanced and slightly adjusted features of this level. That calming sensation you get from wandering wandering around the pool rooms is especially high. In fact, wanderers who have traveled deep enough into the level begin to feel an extremely calming and happy feeling, encouraging them to want to remain in the sublevel for as long as possible. Some wanderers have even been so relaxed that they end up essentially couch locked in a pool for almost 10 hours without moving a muscle. Don't do that. It's really not recommended to do this though, as the effects of said action results in some pretty horrific consequences, like your skin slipping off without you noticing, for instance. Skin stealers would love this level. They could lure wanderers here and trap them in a pool, let them marinate, and then collect the skin that just slumps off. Aside from this frankly horrifying danger though, that's the only dangerous part of the level. I mean, unless you count drowning in like a 3-foot pool or something, but you know, who's really doing that in the pool rooms? That's I know I said being absorbed by a clump is probably one of the worst ways to go in the backrooms, but drowning in a 3-foot pool has probably got to be one of the most embarrassing ways to go in the backrooms. Another area of this sublevel is known as the windowed room. These are those rooms I mentioned earlier that usually contain those decorations that are fused to the floor or not at all solid. The windowed rooms are a special kind of room containing windows varying in size, usually on the bigger side though. Like, think ceiling to floor kind of big. If you look through the window, you can see what looks like a city near a beach. The outdoor area will look the same no matter what window you look out of. So if you were to look in a window on the left side of the room, then look through a completely different window on the right side of the room, you would still see the same city next to the beach, but the weather and seasons, of which only 2 are shown, can vary. The weather cycles between clear, rainy, and thundering, while the 2 seasons that cycle here are spring and summer. The seasons can be determined by the color of the sky and the temperature of the window itself. If it's summer, the window will be warm to the touch and the sky will be blue and nice and clear. If it's spring, the window will be significantly cooler but still warm to touch. There will also be significantly more clouds in the sky, but they never cover the sun, meaning that there is usually constant sunlight flooding into these rooms, and one sunny window is enough to light up an entire room. This brightness effect does stack, however, so a windowed room with a bunch of windows will probably just look like a white portal, which is pretty absurd, and I love it. As for the weather, raining and thundering simply leads to water hitting the window, with the beach being at high tide. The buildings in the city will also appear to give off an abandoned vibe. These windows are particularly strong as they're recorded to have more resistance than most of the windows found in reality. However, they can still be broken. But whatever you do, do not break the windows. Seriously, you'll either end up in the void, or even more horrifying, you could get sent to a redacted level, which apparently the redacted level seems to be revealed in file 3, so we'll get into that in a bit. As a cute homage to the regular pool rooms, this level has another area known as the pool room. This room is described as enclosed and smaller than the rest of the rooms found in level 37.91, and will contain a singular pool filled with water. The water here is colder than the water found in the other pools scattered throughout the level. However, the ambient temperature of the room is stable, and like the temperature range of the rest of the level. It is also transparent like regular water instead of a light blue. There is no relaxing effect here. The main anomalous quality of the pool, however, is the depth. The depth of this pool varies and has been shown to measure from 10 centimeters to about a meter, with rarer cases showing a depth of a kilometer. This is particularly dangerous because if you're like me and the 55% of the population that can't swim, which yes, I'm not the freak you are, you could very easily drown here, which is probably the lamest way to go in the backrooms. So let's be real. That or getting absorbed by a clump. Look, I know I mentioned it earlier, but I still think that drowning in a 3-foot pool is a lot more embarrassing than getting absorbed by a clump. And I really, really hate clumps. Anyway, the walls here in the pool room are noted to be green, which is an interesting difference as the wall tiles in the regular parent level are the same white shade found in the rest of the level. They're also not tiles, but are instead made of a ceramic material. There are lights here in this area bordering the room in the pool, giving an uncanny or off vibe. These lights border both the upper and lower trimmings of the walls. Another homage to a popular pool room sublevel is a room known as Danger Zone, named after the Danger Zone, which is another sublevel found in the pool rooms. This room can be found rarely, and it's very obvious when you do come across it because you'll only be able to see a pitch black room. It's so dark, in fact, that it seems to absorb light, kind of like a black hole does. Of course, since this sublevel has that anomalous effect with equipment that renders them unusable, it's not possible to get a clear view inside inside this room. In fact, attempts to light up the room, including starting a fire and using a camera flash, don't work. It's as if the room absorbs the light no matter the form, which, again, black hole. However, considering what we know about the danger zone, we can assume that this room is likely the only dangerous room in the entire sublevel, and this is partially due to the hydrolytis plague, a bacterium that is commonly found in many areas with water in the backrooms, but especially in level 37 and its more dangerous sublevels, some of which we'll get into here in a bit. Another danger located in this room are the horrifically deep pools found in the danger zone. The pools all lead deeper and deeper to the center of the room, where another smaller and even deeper pool of water is found. The depth has not been recorded, but it is theorized to be in the extreme range, with measurements estimating 100 kilometers in depth. Of course, with extreme depths, you have extreme pressure, which makes any attempts at recording the true depth of this pool impossible. It also seems impossible to avoid encountering this pool, as the room has non-Euclidean properties that force wanderers to end up at the pool, whether they want to or not. Pretty terrifying, honestly. Unconfirmed pictures show that the tiles found within this room change from white to a dark blue color, similar to the tile color present in the danger zone sublevel. But since the walls in the pool room were different than the walls found in the regular level 37, who knows if it's the same in this room? On the level report page, there are 3 files, each containing a log entry. You should definitely go check out the first 2 yourselves. Just keep in mind that it seems like the author's first language isn't English, so be nice, but the 3rd file is one I wanted to go over because of that redacted level I mentioned earlier. The 3rd file contains an archived message with an attached image from a level the Wanderer ended up in. The Wanderer attempted to contact someone named Mike within a Meg base, and he says this. "Hello everyone, it's me, Luis. I don't know if you guys can see this message or not, because my account got disconnected, and when it will send, that doesn't matter. I just sent this message just to talk to Mike that I know is on this specific base of Meg, and well, hey dude, how's it been going? Have you gotten that thing already? I hope you did. I just have a tiny question. Could you tell the rest of the group that I'm not coming back? I mean, I'm not dying. And to the rest of the base and Meg in general, this is just a warning to everyone. Never jump off level 37.91. Oh, they already found me. Bye guys, it's been an incredible journey inside a group like this. Please promise to me that you'll never forget about me." So it seems like breaking the windows in those windowed rooms and jumping out of it will lead you to this creepy looking underground, almost prehistoric version of the pool rooms. And the Wanderer also mentioned they, suggesting either entities or some other anomalous being were pursuing him found him. Although from the context of the messages, it doesn't seem like the Wanderer was in significant distress, or in any kind of distress for that matter. As far as colonies and outposts go, well, it's not really feasible to set up any here due to the isolation effect that is present. Meg had planned to try and establish mini outposts for the purpose of resting and having another safe place to relax, but unsurprisingly, the idea was scrapped. Entering the sublevel is difficult as not a lot of entrances have been found, and it's theorized that aside from wanderers randomly encountering an entrance, there may be certain steps or criteria that you must meet for an entrance to appear for you. But for the confirmed entrances, wanderers have a small chance to enter level 37.91 accidentally while walking around in dark areas present in level 37. However, this has only been recorded to happen 10 times in total. You can also attempt to no-clip into a wall with dark pool tiles that can be found rarely at level 37.9 to end up here. To exit this level, which I probably wouldn't do to be honest, you can either break a window in the windowed rooms and jump out of it to end up in that mysterious redacted level, which maybe don't do that, or you can try the only confirmed way of leaving the sublevel, which is by locating a cyan blue wooden door and going through it to be transported to a random pool rooms level in the backrooms. No clipping has unfortunately not been shown to work as a method of exiting the sublevel. However, it could be like level 0.01 where wanderers have to try hundreds if not thousands of times to no clip before it works. Okay, wow, that was a lot, but to summarize, level 37.91 is a sublevel that features asymmetrical pools with enhanced calming effects, irregular pool tiles, and several rooms that are similar in appearance to other pool room levels like the danger zone or the pool rooms. There are windowed rooms which feature a beach near a city, and this view is the same in every window, no matter which direction you're facing. The windows are breakable and you can jump out of one, but you probably wouldn't want to do that as you can get sent to a level that we haven't even been able to document. There are no entities unless you decide to take a dip in one of of the pools located in the danger zone room and contract the hydrolytis plague for whatever reason. I don't know, man, it's your body. Just make sure you don't soak in the water for too long if you value keeping your skin. To enter this sublevel, a wanderer has a chance to be sent here by walking around in a dark area on level 37, or if they no-clip into a wall with dark pool tiles found in level 37.9, and the only confirmed exit so far seems to be walking through that cyan door I mentioned earlier. Next sublevel is one that gives me flashbacks to the great hand sanitizer shortage of 2020, and that is level 37.4, also known as germaphobia. This sublevel is classified as a class 4E, meaning that the environment is the most dangerous quality of the sublevel, and is unsafe, unstable, and contains several non-entity hazards. There are also two sections to this sublevel, which are called the pool and the hot tubs. Wanderers will always start off in the pool when they arrive in the sublevel, and after wandering for an undetermined amount of time, will encounter a way into the hot tubs. Sometimes wanderers can even encounter each other in the level, which is a feature not present in level 37. The standard appearance of level 37 is shared here, but as usual there are key differences, such as the tiles being in an especially pristine condition, and it's said to be in even better condition than the tiles in the parent level. There are also no dark areas here, as the halls are brightly lit. Interestingly, there are also no reported sound anomalies in the sublevel, which differs from the pool rooms. The most obvious of these differences, however, is the absurd amount of a gel-like substance on the floor, and this gel is everywhere on the floor in this part of the sublevel. It even contains anomalous properties that we'll get into later. This sublevel also has a mostly flat and plain terrain. There are no reported staircases or slides, but there are a few areas where the floor slopes slightly. Scattered around the level are ledges wanderers can climb up to avoid an anomalous phenomenon that we'll get into here in a bit. After testing the substance, it's been found to consist of mostly the same ingredients as hand sanitizer, but with a very high concentration of ethanol, around 95% to be exact. Reading this entire sublevel page reminded me of how bad hand sanitizer started smelling in like late 2020, early 2021. I would not want to be here at all. But this gel has also been found to remain cold to the touch, even though the air in the sublevel is warm. This weird gel pool is always at least ankle deep. It's also important to make sure you're properly covered while wading through the sanitizer, as prolonged exposure to your skin can dry it out, which of course, the unpleasant side effects of severely dry skin sound like something you'd want to avoid, especially if you have any cuts or wounds. But dry skin is not the only thing wanderers should be aware of. Remember how I mentioned the concentration of ethyl alcohol in the gel being 95%? Well, that means that the level is absolutely choked with the fumes from this hand sanitizer. And of course, unless you have some sort of breathing filter or a covering, you'll soon start to experience adverse effects from breathing these fumes in constantly. These effects range from headaches and hallucinations to losing consciousness and even succumbing to alcohol poisoning. And if for some reason a wanderer were to submerge themselves in the gel or consume it, the risk of experiencing these effects increases, so don't do that. Like I mentioned earlier, having protective gear to avoid the negative effects from exposure to the gel and fumes is essential, especially if you're wanting to venture deeper into the sublevel, into areas where the hand sanitizer is less shallow. Keep in mind that if a wanderer does want to traverse through the deeper sanitizer pools, their movement will be slow due to the resistance that amount of gel causes. It's like if you tried to run underwater, only you're about waist deep in gel and not water. Of course, having almond water is highly recommended, as wanderers can drink it to help offset the effects of alcohol poisoning. Wanderers who have stayed here for prolonged periods of time have reported that the overwhelming fumes of sanitizer and the uncomfortable feeling of wading through it led to them feeling stressed and overwhelmed, with a desperate need to escape the corridors as soon as possible. Which, yeah, not surprising that wanderers feel distressed from this. I would absolutely not have a good time here, not just from me now hating the smell of hand sanitizer. And it wouldn't be a backrooms level, or sublevel in this case, if the level itself didn't have some sort of unique property to it. This property is one that I hinted at earlier that affects the sanitizer gel itself and is called the ignition event. This event is a phenomenon that doesn't occur simultaneously throughout the whole level, but luckily there are signs to be aware of so wanderers can avoid being caught up in this event, which, trust me, you don't want to do. The hand sanitizer in this level has a varying nature. Most of the time, the gel will be saturated and moist, but other times the gel will begin to go through a cycle of drying out and will turn into this dry, gloopy, thick mess, and movement will be much more difficult. Wanderers have described moving through the gel in this state as moving through a giant pool of jello, and has even been recorded to pile up in the shape of a hill in some areas, serving as a sort of obstacle to hinder progress. Like I mentioned before, this effect doesn't happen throughout the level at the same time. Some areas areas of the level will have fully saturated gel, some areas will have dry, piled up sanitizer. This helps a wanderer determine whether continuing down an area is safe from getting caught up in the ignition event. After this event occurs, the gel will return to its naturally saturated state. As one might have guessed, the ignition event is the most dangerous aspect of the pool section in this sublevel, and occurs once the sanitizer has fully dried out. When it begins, the dried out sanitizer gel will begin to catch fire from an unknown source. The fire doesn't spread quickly, but wanderers will have a difficult time moving through this gel, especially when it's dried out, which can be very dangerous or even fatal for wanderers. The fire burns for about 20 minutes before dying down, and afterwards the sanitizer will return to its saturated state. To avoid this event, a wanderer can avoid sections of the sublevel where the sanitizer is beginning to dry out, or climb onto a ledge if they manage to find one, and rest until the gel returns to normal. Additionally, a wanderer can also trigger the event early by igniting the dry gel themselves. This will progress the event as normal and lead to safe travel. So make sure you keep track of your surroundings, and you should be fine in this section. It's also been reported that wanderers who have frequented this level to explore and document it have developed a strategy to handle the event. This strategy involves exploring for about 2 hours after the previous ignition event ends, and then after 2 hours they look for a ledge to climb up on. An item is then thrown down on the gel to ignite it, triggering the event prematurely and giving the wanderer a chance to rest for about 20 minutes. Triggering the event early doesn't seem to affect the saturation of the gel after it ends. It will always return to its original, highly saturated state after the event ends. Of course, this method isn't recommended for use by Meg, and this comes after a report of a wanderer who got caught up in flames after another wanderer triggered the event early, so be careful. After wandering for a while in the pool section and avoiding the ignition event, a wanderer will eventually come upon a hallway that leads to a large platform of tiled floors. This hallway leads to the second section of the sublevel, known as the hot tubs. This section of the level presents itself as a dry, flat sea of white tiles with no slopes. It's like you're in a Minecraft flat world with a bunch of hot tubs in the ground. The air here is notably cooler than the air in the pool section, which is interesting considering the hot tubs are typically over 100 degrees and super humid, and there's a bunch of them here, but there's a reason for that, which we'll go over in a second. It's important to note that this section's lighting will begin to fade after transitioning from the pools to the hot tubs, and eventually this section of the sublevel will be cast in near total darkness. So you're going to want to carry a flashlight or some other light source unless you want to rely on the light coming from the hot tubs as your only light source in this section. The hot tubs are circular in average size to seat about 5 people. These tubs are scattered everywhere throughout the section with no sense of consistency or logic to their placement. Sometimes you'll see hot tubs right next to each other, and other times you'll see them spaced out at ridiculous distances. The vents in these hot tubs are functional and are the only noise you'll hear in this sublevel. If you were expecting these hot tubs to be filled with water, well, you must be new to the Backrooms, which is fine. But these hot tubs are filled with that same sanitizer found in the first section of this sublevel. Of course, the sanitizer in these tubs is hot, but it is the temperature that is typical of a hot tub. There is also cold air that comes from the hot tubs themselves, which is a contrast to the first section of the sublevel with its hot air and cold sanitizer. The sanitizer in these tubs are scented and can be different colors as well. Red sanitizer smells like strawberries, yellow sanitizer smells like fresh flowers, and orange sanitizer smells like cookies. These are the only confirmed scents so far. I hope there's like a purple one for lavender and a white one for fresh linen. Some of the best fragrances for real. The sanitizer in this section thankfully doesn't have as strong of an alcohol concentration. It actually sits at around 70%, but the dangers of alcohol poisoning are still here, as well as the effect prolonged skin contact creates, like the dry and cracked skin. Surprisingly, it's safe for wanderers to relax in these tubs, but it's recommended to bring lotion to help offset the dry skin. You wouldn't think that it'd be relaxing to soak in a hot tub filled with hand sanitizer, but it might be worth it as the sanitizer has been tested and found to contain the same unnamed compounds present within the water in level 37. Though, like I mentioned earlier, you're still at risk of alcohol poisoning, so try to avoid prolonged dips in the tub if you can help it. The size of this section of level 37.4 has not been determined, but after some exploration, it's been found that it is not infinite, as wanderers can encounter a tiled wall here, and these are where you're more likely to find a reliable exit from the sublevel. And the darkness, plus the dangers of exposure to the sanitizer, make it difficult to explore. Wanderers have even reported feeling a sense of paranoia while traveling through this section of the sublevel, and it's theorized that it has to do with how dark it is here, which I mean, yeah, I would probably be scared as hell too if I were in this section of the sublevel. As far as entities go, there are no confirmed reports of any being here on the sublevel. This even includes the hydrolytis plague, though that's more than likely from the sanitizing gel than anything else. Wanderers have also reported feeling that there are smilers and an unrecorded entity lurking in the darkness of the hot tub section of the sublevel. But I think that this is because of the paranoia from being surrounded by darkness and possible hallucinations from constantly breathing in fumes from the hand sanitizer. And you may be thinking, well, Red, this sounds dangerous and miserable. What's the point of coming here to this sublevel? Well, there's a lot of valuable items here that wanderers can find in both sections of the sublevel. These are unbranded bathing products in packaged form and include soaps, lotions, perfumes, and even candles. While these items can be found in the pool section, they're significantly more common in the hot tubs. Funny enough, packaged hand sanitizer hasn't been found here yet, but I imagine you could just collect sanitizer from the hot tubs. Some of these items have even been found to contain anomalous properties when used normally. Soap and perfumes are excluded from this phenomenon, so wanderers typically don't have an incentive to collect them. But I don't know, man, I think I'd grab some soap so I could smell nice while I'm in the back rooms. I may be stuck here, but I don't have to smell bad while I'm here, you know? The lotion that's been found here on the sublevel has been reported to not only soothe and hydrate your skin, but it also speeds up your natural healing process for cuts and scars. Wanderers shouldn't overuse the lotion though, as your skin can become dependent on the lotion to the degree that it requires it so that it can heal any injury, no matter the severity. Very valuable resource in the backrooms for sure, I'd say. Lit candles seem to have an enhanced aromatherapy quality, which helps wanderers relax. This relaxation effect is better than the effect the sanitizer in the level can provide. And what's even better is that there are no negative effects from overuse. This makes the candles a very valuable and lucrative item to find. It's important to note that these candles can only be found in the hot tub section, so you're definitely going to have to brave a couple cycles of the ignition event to get to the hot tubs. Like I mentioned earlier, wanderers can collect sanitizer from the level for personal usage. If a wanderer applies the sanitizer, they'll experience a relaxing effect and it will cure all bacterial diseases to an extent. Samples taken from the pool will be able to be used as they won't undergo the anomalous drying and saturation cycle. Testing has shown that the dry sanitizer seems to be more effective than its saturated form, and it's been suggested that long-term moderate use of the sanitizer can boost a wanderer's immune system against all bacterial diseases. But there isn't a conclusive answer. Nonetheless, the lotions and the candles are the most sought-after items from this sublevel. I would probably brave this sublevel if it meant that I could get a candle with, you know, infinite aromatherapy qualities. Another fun property of the sublevel is that it appears to clean itself, and what I mean by that is that any damage done to the tiles, whether from the ignition event or from a wanderer, will vanish as quickly as it appeared. It's unclear as to why this happens, but it's thought that the healing properties of the sanitizer in the sublevel even extend to the fumes. There are no colonies, outposts, or bases set up here in the sublevel. Even though it's possible to encounter another wanderer here, it's still not feasible to set up a colony thanks to the obvious environmental hazards. So, wanderers have resorted to trading the items I mentioned earlier outside of the level. To enter this level, you can go down a hallway that smells like hand sanitizer in level 37, and you can pour hand sanitizer into the water in level 37 to increase your chances of finding this hallway. You can also no-clip into a wall with a hand sanitizer dispenser in any level and you'll be sent here. To exit, you can go through a door at the far end of the hot tubs to be sent to a bath door in level 33. You can also find a rare, out-of-place area of lukewarm water in the pool section and no-clip into it to be sent back to level 37. You can also no-clip in the hot tubs to go to level 37.2 or a rare dark area in the pool to go to level 37.1. Now, these sublevels are super detailed. Well, let's go ahead and summarize it. Level 37.4 is a sublevel found within the pool rooms and has vast open areas with pillars and ledges that a wanderer can randomly come across. There are two sections to this sublevel, known as the pools and the hot tubs. No matter how you get here, you'll always end up in the pools before you enter the hot tubs. There's a hand sanitizer-like substance all over the floor, with some areas of the level having more than others. The sanitizer here has anomalous healing properties, but can also cause alcohol poisoning from overexposure. And the sanitizer itself undergoes a strange cycle and phenomenon known as the ignition event, where the sanitizer will go from a saturated state to a dry and clumpy state. After the sanitizer is sufficiently dried out, a fire will begin from an unknown source and will spread across the gel, burning for about 20 minutes before the gel becomes saturated and the cycle repeats. After being in the sublevel for a bit, a wanderer will come across the hot tubs, which is a darker section of the sublevel containing hot tubs filled with the hand sanitizer. Some of these tubs have sanitizer that is a different color and is scented. Wanderers can even find rare items like soap, lotion, perfumes, and candles. Though due to the level's generally unsafe environment, trading of of these items is usually done outside of the level. This sublevel is pretty neat. I like the idea of hand sanitizer replacing the water and the possibility of finding stuff like candles and perfumes, but like also the thought of constantly smelling hand sanitizer gives me a headache. I don't think I'd come here. I'd probably just pay someone in almond water to go get me a couple of candles or something and lotion. The third sublevel I wanted to talk about is level 37.1, also known as the Deep End. This sublevel has a class 3 survival difficulty and is unsafe, unstable, and has a low entity count. It's described as a more chaotic and intricate extension of level 37. Like, whoever or whatever created this level just decided to go absolutely insane with the logic of these rooms. The rooms have a consistent design, but each one has a different detail or purpose that contrasts with the others. For example, some sections barely have enough water to even call it a pool, while some rooms seem to be overly submerged and almost flooding. The deepest recorded areas of this sublevel have even been measured to be almost 40 meters or 131 feet deep, which is absolutely terrifying to me as someone who can't swim. It's ironic that level 37 is one of my favorite levels now that I think about it. Wanderers have said that navigating through this sublevel is very different from exploring level 37. This is especially due to the low amount of light that is present in the sublevel. The little amount of light that does exist here comes from sparse openings in the wall that emit a dim glow from an unknown source, meaning it's difficult for wanderers to carefully see where they're going. Exploring in some areas is downright impossible, as some rooms have no light at all. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to risk falling into a 130-foot deep pool because I wanted to see what was inside a room. There's also no guarantee that a reliable exit from the water exists in these rooms either. So if you fall into a pool, that might be the last anyone would ever hear from you. The water in this sublevel is also different from that of the main level. The water here is cold, with temperatures ranging from 17 to 21 degrees Celsius or 63 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and has a murky, deep blue-green tone, which is only enhanced by the darkness and structure of the sublevel. Unlike the tiles in level 37 and some of its sublevels, the tiles in this sublevel don't share the same anomalous damage-resistant properties, which explains the state of disrepair. The grout here is filthy, there are destroyed tiles, and there's poorly built structures which create an ominous and almost oppressive feeling that directly contradicts the calming atmosphere of level 37. Even the air here is described as stale and unpleasant smelling. This sublevel also undergoes quick and haphazard structural changes, which results in a twisted, non-linear space, which is just fancy talk for saying the level is non-Euclidean. In fact, the effect is so prominent that it even messes with communication devices like audio recorders and live video equipment. So mapping and navigating this level has been deemed almost impossible. Because of this, there are no colonies, bases, or outposts, as it would be infeasible to set any up here. As for entities, there have only been 2 types confirmed here, and these are facelings and the hydrolytis plague. While the hydrolytis plague is to be expected, what's surprising is the fact that it is aggravated due to the lack of chlorine in the water, which a wanderer can easily tell due to the water being deep green in color. Not only is it more aggressive, it's also significantly more common, with the super flooded and deep rooms carrying traces of the hydrolytis plague in the water. Thankfully, wanderers don't have to worry about airborne contamination due to each room in the sublevel being tightly separated, meaning that the water in each section is also contained to that specific section. Just make sure you avoid the water as much as you can, and make sure you do not drink it. Even if you feel like you're super dehydrated, trust me, you don't want to get sick from this. I probably wouldn't even come to this level if I could help it. There's a note a wanderer named Logan Cunningham wrote on April 17th, 2020. The note talks about the pool rooms and the deep end, and as always, I will leave a link in the description to the level page so you can read it for yourself. To enter this level, a wanderer can go through a dark, cold area in level 37 to have a chance of ending up here. Or you can possibly no-clip in the pool in level 58 to get directly to level 37.1. And to exit, there are certain parts of the level where the sources of light are stronger and can redirect the wanderer back to level 37. So basically follow the wall glows that seem to be getting brighter, kind of like those lights in the movie theater that guide you towards the exit. You can also find a cave entrance here which will lead you to the deep end. And no, I don't mean the sublevel's name, I mean an actual level named the deep end, which is kind of cute when you think about it, that the 2 levels are linked only because they share a name. But don't be fooled by me finding that endearing. You do not want to go to the deep end. This is a level you will most likely never leave from, so avoid this exit at all costs. A wanderer can also rarely find a water slide, which will take them to level 37.4. To summarize, level 37.1 is a dangerous, unstable, non-Euclidean sublevel within level 37. It's dark, The water is cold and contains an aggressive form of the hydrolytis plague. It's also super deep, with the deepest sections measuring at 131 feet. The only other reported entities here are facelings, but there doesn't seem to be much information on their behavior in the sublevel. The sublevel itself seems to possess an anomalous quality that affects communication and recording devices and renders them useless. This sublevel really freaks me out, and I don't particularly like dark, cramped, and filthy spaces, especially with chaotic level layouts and constantly changing architecture. I would avoid this level at all costs, honestly. And the last level I'll be talking about today is level 37.93, also known as Interstellar. This sublevel has a class 2 survival difficulty due to its slight environmental hazards, moderate difficulty in exiting, and some hostile entities present. This sublevel is competing with the cooler pool rooms in terms of being one of my top 3 favorites, even when I factor in the stark difference in danger between the two levels. But enough of me rambling. Let's get into the sublevel description. Level 37.93 is described as a maze of pool tiles, not unlike the main pool rooms, but like some of the other sublevels, level 37.93 has a more incomprehensible structure. The pool tiles here are different colors, with the most common colors being purple, bluish purple, blue, and black. Your standard galaxy colors, of course. There are also small light fixtures in the walls, floor, ceiling, and even in some furniture and architecture. Wanderers have referred to these as stars, and these stars also vary in color, but most commonly show as light orange, light green, light blue, and white. The water here is lukewarm, but some sections of the level have cooler water sitting at around 15 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit. There's also the occasional sighting of high amounts of neon in the water, and yes, I mean the chemical neon. This is easily seen by the water having a dim orange glow and causing frostbite if a wanderer were to touch the water, so avoid the glowing orange water and you should be pretty safe from that. But let's say a wanderer desperately needed water and for some reason didn't drink from an area without neon. What would happen to them? Well, a wanderer who drank enough of this tainted water will show signs of neon poisoning, with symptoms including dizziness, loss of consciousness, nausea, throwing up, and even unaliving. Interestingly, wanderers have reported that stickers of stars, planets, black holes, and other space objects in celestial bodies can be found on the walls of the sublevel, but these stickers don't seem to be removable. This sublevel contains resources in abundance and are usually gathered from vending machines, snack bars, bags, and crates. The resources that can be found here are almond water, mixologist delight, moth jelly, and even food from the front rooms, aka reality. Just be aware of what it is that you're gathering, as harmful resources can also spawn here. Items like liquid pain have even been reported to be commonly laced with the food from reality, so I would just avoid all of the food from reality. Snack bars are an area that vary widely in architecture and theme, but they all usually share a modern looking base appearance, with space being a common link between them. The brands of the snack bars are said to be mostly incomprehensible, but the ones we can comprehend are listed as Space Shuffles, Mixologist Delight Bar, the Interstellar Restaurant, and Space Lollipop Store. This isn't all of them, however, as it's unclear as to how big this sublevel is, and as a result, how many snack bars there are. One thing that's certain is that the sublevel is not infinite, and Meg continues to study it in order to document any other oddities and anomalies. Occasionally, a wanderer can come across a slide within the sublevel, which will usually lead to a lower floor of the level, and will rarely lead to a microgravity void containing celestial bodies like stars, planets, black holes, meteors, white holes, space debris, and other things. Some of the areas found in the sublevel are collapsed and show the microgravity void thanks to the presence of black holes in these voids pulling sections of the sublevel towards its event horizon. There is also a reported effect of being here in the level known as the level 37.93 effect. This side effect causes wanderers to believe that the sublevel is a perfect haven and other wanderers should also enter the level. This effect will cause feelings of relaxation and euphoria, and the intensity of these effects can lead to wanderers being careless of their surroundings, like the presence of entities or high concentrations of neon in the water. In fact, some wanderers will start cults or even outright attempt to force other wanderers into the sublevel. This effect thankfully is only limited to the sublevel, as those who manage to leave seem to return to normal almost immediately after exiting. However, those that do not get out of the sublevel in time will inevitably try to jump into the microgravity void and eventually turn into a section of the level, which will end up either being consumed or slowly shift towards a matching collapsed section to integrate itself into it and fix it. This effect is the most common theory on the expansion the level undergoes, which is terrifying when you think about it for more than 5 seconds, because this is suggesting that the only reason the sublevel is expanding is because wanderers fall prey to these voids and eventually become a part of the level itself. Rarely, wanderers can even turn into one of the space objects within level 37.93, but it's not known how. What is known is that the wanderer is still alive after the process and sentient, but they're not able to control these objects. However, they're still somehow able to talk, which is cool, but also terrifying. Like, imagine being lost in the sublevel. You're cold, tired, hungry, and you realize there's a black hole talking to you. The Backrooms are so unserious. Wanderers can prevent this effect, or at least control it if they have enough power. Good luck resisting the urges of a massive celestial body, though. There are entities here in level 37.93, and they are skin stealers, smilers, the hydrolytis plague, and clumps, but those are just the confirmed ones. It's unknown whether or not there are more and how much of them there are. Interestingly, there are 2 colonies here despite the dangers of the sublevel. These are called Base Interstellar and Stellar Space. Base Interstellar has around 550 members and is a subset of the Backrooms colonists. They're friendly and they're open to trading, which is pretty cool. Stellar Space is much smaller, at around 120 members, but they're still friendly and accept new members as long as they have willpower to prevent the level 37.93 effect from taking them. However, they're not open to trading. To enter this sublevel, a wanderer can traverse through a hallway within level 37 resembling that of level 37.93, and it will bring them here. You can also no-clip through an astronaut picture within level 699's Moody Spa to be taken to this sublevel. You can also jump into a pool within level 37.5 containing high amounts of neon to be sent here. Finally, you can rarely no-clip through dim orange tiles within level 37.8 to get sent here. To exit, you can get grabbed by a void grabber, which will lead to the void, and more rarely, VO001 instead. There's also a rare no-clip method wanderers try, which involves no-clipping through water with high amounts of neon to be sent to level 37.5, and no-clipping through clean water will lead back to level 37. To summarize, this sublevel is a cool maze of galaxy-colored pool tiles with dim light fixtures almost everywhere that are called stars by wanderers. Stickers of celestial bodies have also been found stuck on the wall. The sublevel itself features incomprehensible architecture, the same lukewarm water the main level 37 has, with cooler sections of water in some areas. Oftentimes you can find high concentrations of neon, which you should avoid touching and drinking unless you want frostbite and neon poisoning, which I wouldn't, but that's just me. Vending machines, snack bars, and bags and crates scattered throughout the sublevel have also been found to contain valuable resources and even food from reality. But it's best to avoid the food from reality, as it's commonly laced with liquid paint. There are even slides here which can lead to a lower section of the level, or a microgravity void with celestial bodies, like black holes. And these celestial bodies end up pulling sections of the level into itself in order to reveal said microgravity void. This level features a notable side effect known as the level 37.93 effect, which causes wanderers to become obsessed with the sublevel, even attempting to force other wanderers into the sublevel or starting cults. Eventually, those afflicted by the level 37.93 effect will seek out and jump into a microgravity void and become one of the celestial bodies capable of awareness and communication. Confirmed entities include skin stealers, smilers, the hydrolytis plague, and clumps. Despite the hazards of the sublevel, there are 2 colonies here named Base Interstellar and Stellar Space. This level is one of my favorites for sure. I love everything space related, and it's so nice to see a pool room level get an interstellar twist. And that was it for Spooky Sublevels Level 37 Edition. I had a lot of fun making this video. I had a lot of fun reading about it and all the different sublevels, and I've always really enjoyed the pool rooms, but there's just so many sublevels now for the pool rooms, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about them. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. It's free, and it lets me know that you want to see more videos like this. If you stuck around till the end, thank you. I really do appreciate it. I hope you take care, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!